Fred Katz, NBA writer, joins us here in just a couple of moments to talk about Cooper Flagg winning Rookie of the Year, because after such a long debate, such a heated debate between Flagg and Kon Knueppel, we finally got the word last night from Grant Hill, former Rookie of the Year himself, who won the award.
Uh-oh. I'm nervous.
It's okay.
All right, the Kia Rookie of the Year 2026, Cooper Flagg from the Dallas Mavericks.
Well, no doubt about it, Cooper Flagg, your Rookie of the Year. And we got to bring in a senior NBA writer for The Athletic, Fred Katz, coming to us from the closet. What is going on there, buddy? We found in all of New York, in all of New York City, you found that space that you could do this for.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. I normally have a nicer background, but I make sure that my background is equivalent to the quality of show that I'm on. So
then you have chosen correctly.
That's perfect.
You're lucky I'm not doing it like in the choky Matilda style.
I have so many questions.
We have a lot of questions, Fred. But I suppose we should start with the obvious. How much of the Coop versus Kon debate was raging in your head, or was it kind of clear and obvious by season's end?
Well, I should say this on the Dallas show. I didn't vote for Cooper Flagg. I voted for Kon Knueppel. It wasn't obvious. I would not say it was obvious. It was one of my more difficult awards votes that I have. Flagg is incredible, and in a normal season, he's the runaway Rookie of the Year. But this year's rookie class was just absolutely outstanding. In a lot of years, VJ Edgecombe would be the Rookie of the Year. In a lot of years, Dylan Harper, who didn't even make my ballot, would be the Rookie of the Year. To me, the difference was that Flagg, it's just a little more difficult to interpret the numbers that he's putting up when everything is revolved around him on the team, which is not a knock on Flagg whatsoever. That's the case that a lot of rookies find themselves in, and I think he's going to be incredible, and I think he's probably the best prospect and will be the best player out of these guys. Kon Knueppel affected the game in ways that rookies don't really affect the game. We can get into that a little bit deeper if you want, and that kind of put me over the top with him.
I just want to know, why are you so obsessed with three-pointers?
Well, it's not just the three-pointers, Jonah. It's funny you ask that. It's the way the three-pointers affect the rest of the game. So, for example, people consider shooting and spacing to be the same skill in basketball, when the reality is they're extremely related and one has to do with the other, but they're not the same thing. Dwayne Wade, who you were obsessed with, Dwayne Wade, who could not shoot threes and never did shoot threes, was an elite spacer because of his reputation and also because of his off-ball cutting. Now, normally what happens is somebody hits a bunch of threes, but if you're a rookie, guys don't guard you because you haven't earned that reputation yet. Kon Knueppel was the best spacer in the NBA this year because of his off-ball movement, because of his ability to move around screens, and because defenses just reacted to him in a way that they never have for a rookie. So there's this stat on bballindex.com. It's a great stat called gravity, which measures basically how much you're pulling defenders out towards you. Kon Knueppel this year didn't just have the best gravity of any player in the NBA, which is extraordinary for a rookie, and a huge reason why the Hornets offense opened up completely in a way that completely changed the way the team ran. It's also just the fact that it is an all-time spacing season, an all-time gravity season for Kon Knueppel. The only players in the history of that stat, which goes back 20 years, the only players in the history of that stat to have better gravity seasons are Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. And that is it. So we're talking about the way that this guy impacts his teammates and makes his teammates better. Cooper Flagg does it in lots of ways too. Makes his teammates way better as a passer, with gravity on his drives and all these other things. Kon Knueppel does it in a more subtle way. So we don't necessarily see it in the assists. We don't necessarily see it on the drives and the scoring, but we can see it in other ways if you look closely enough. And that's why I went with Knueppel. I have no issue with Flagg winning. He's phenomenal. He's going to be an all-NBA player, maybe an MVP. He's that level of talent. I have no issue with him winning whatsoever, but that kind of set it apart for me.
We are talking about two players that had tremendous rookie seasons, and I think as much as those of us around this table all felt like it was going to be Flagg and should have been Flagg, I think we all also did have the ability to acknowledge, hey, Kon Knueppel's a deserving candidate here, and this should be close. I think we just all felt like it should be close, but also the way that it ultimately came down. 56-44 was the split of the first place vote, so it was very, very close.
If we can pull up voting here real quick, this is how it actually shook out, with Edgecombe actually picking up 1 second-place vote, which was kind of interesting. But honestly, that's 6 votes swinging one way or the other. I know it ended up being a specific margin, but you're 6 votes away from a 50-50 split in a shared award. Yeah. So that is indicative. And also, as we've kind of discussed a little bit, Flagg needed his final season stretch to get over this hump. This was slanted much more toward the hidden stats element. I wouldn't even say hidden to some degree, because the stats did bear out a little bit closer midway through the season, as Kon was actually not necessarily more dynamic, but more consistent at that point. And Flagg was dealing with it in and out with injury. But you add the 50-point games later in the year, and you end up seeing the end-of-season stats. If we can pull up VO3 here real quick, just to kind of give him the raw comparison here. When he wins every major statistical category, I think as much as we look in the weeds for things like gravity that are new terms in NBA basketball parlance, it's hard to beat the raw box score that everyone pays attention to.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Fred's one of one in terms of, wanting to just take a, deep dive stat, like in the deep analytics, and then just, put his vote towards that. Fred, I'm gonna blow you up here. I remember 2 years ago I asked you who's your rookie of the year.
You know what? I should have done this from like a janitor's closet. I really should.
There is a closet right behind you. You could go like further into your apartment. Totally possible.
Unbelievable.
Next time.
I do want to get your thought on this, though. For Flagg winning the award, how much of it was that late season stretch? I mean, this, because you didn't vote for him, I know this is probably just your opinion of how other voters voted, but why did it, ultimately come to Cooper getting over Kon in the voting?
Oh, I mean, I think it was.
I asked that question terribly. Let me rephrase that. You vote for the award. So do a lot of other people.
You asked it.
You are friends with a lot of the other people that vote for these awards. Why do you think they voted for Cooper instead of Kon?
Yeah, why were they wrong when in reality they were right?
I can't believe you talk into a microphone for a living.
For a living.
Can't believe you were the one making fun of me for being unable to do television, and you can't ask questions.
It's right. Literally the bane of my existence.
Now you see what I work with.
So it was. I mean, it was definitely the end of season stretch for sure. I mean, I can say, speaking for myself, and not necessarily even the other voters, if you asked me who I thought was Rookie of the Year at the All-Star break or on February 15th, then I was going to answer pretty quickly that it was Kon Knueppel. And then come the end of the season, I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I got to think about it. I got to look into this more. And Cooper was putting up those numbers on a team that was obviously tanking and that was, making sure to get the ball to him every time, run through him every single time whenever they possibly could. And that obviously enhances the counting stats, but it's not like he was just putting up 18 and 5 and 5 on horrible efficiency and just doing a terrible job with it. I mean, over the last however many games of the season, he was 25 a game with great rebounding numbers and great assist numbers, and the process looked great. I never tuned into a Mavs game and thought, well, this looks unnatural. He can't handle this role. This is rookie Michael Carter-Williams on the tanking Philadelphia 76ers, where they would just go do everything, and you win Rookie of the Year because you put up numbers, and then you have a short career after the fact. Like, I never in a million years thought that for a second, and I'm sure there were a lot of voters who had the same reaction that I did, and that was enough to push them over the top.
The season that Flagg had from top to bottom showed a lot of evolution to his game. I'm wondering, as you looked into deeper your choice in terms of how you decided who you were going to vote for, what were some of the things that jumped out at you about Flagg's game that you maybe saw some of that growth from game 1 to game 82?
Yeah, I mean, I think the decision making with the ball in his hands so much was a huge thing. The ability to facilitate off of his drives was a huge thing. The ability to find shooters every time he hit the paint was a huge thing. And the pacing that he played with. By the end of the season, he was, at the beginning of the year, there was all this talk of Cooper Flagg is playing point guard, and what a disaster that is because the Mavs don't have a real point guard, and thus putting Cooper Flagg in a terrible position. And I always thought from a developmental standpoint, I mean, from a winning now standpoint, that wasn't going to work. He's a rookie and he's not a natural point guard, so it's not necessarily going to work. But I thought from a developmental standpoint, that had a really, really good chance of working. And Jason Kidd actually saw that in Milwaukee years and years and years ago when Giannis Antetokounmpo played point guard for a while, and the Bucks offense looked really bad when he did it. And now you ask Giannis about those moments when he was playing point guard, and that was a learning experience for him because when you're the point guard, you're the quarterback. You're the one, same way how a quarterback has to know every single route that every single receiver has to take and the different ways that every guy on the line has to block and all of that. Like the point guard has to know every single element of every single play. You can't just be like, if you're the center, you're like, okay, I set my screen and then I go here. If you're the point guard, you got to know everything if you're running the offense. And it allows you to see the game from different perspectives and learn and absorb and learn how to read and react. And I saw that process with him throughout the course of the year. He's clearly an incredibly high IQ player, and I imagine we will continue to see the effects of that and the benefits from that going into next year and the years beyond when he's going to become an all-star and he's going to become an all-NBA player.
Just a question. How much did that debut? Because it was, I always think of it as the missed alley-oop, and obviously comparing him directly to Wemby did not help. But how much did that set Flagg back to the point where he had to get back reputation amongst NBA writers to kind of feel like, yeah, he belongs in this Rookie of the Year conversation beyond just he's a developmental kid that's going through a very difficult process in a position that's not allowing him to show his strengths?
I don't think it did. I think he fell behind, in public consensus for a large part of the season, not because of anything he was doing. I think it was just because Kon was a million times better than anybody realized he was going to be right off the bat. I mean, the guy led the league in threes, like Jonah said. I only care about threes. It's the only thing I vote on. Whoever leads the league in threes. So I voted for Kon for Defensive Player of the Year because he led the league in threes.
As long as you're willing to admit it. And the best part is we can just clip that part and put it on Twitter and get you a whole bunch of followers besides Ben Stiller.
Right. I am literally latching on to Knueppel is what I'm doing.
Oh, man. Fred, as nervous as you were about television, I don't think you could be as bad as Carmelo was last night. Yeah, congratulations to Cooper and Nico Harrison for doing everything it took to get the number 1 overall pick, which was lucking into it as the 10th draft odds.
I would really like to extend an invite to Carmelo Anthony to speak at my funeral. Because I feel like he's going to get up there for the eulogy and he's going to be like, Fred had 17 Five Guys burgers and then keeled over. But if he hadn't done that, then he wouldn't have had this beautiful wooden box that's right next to me.
Jeez.
That's such a morbid but perfect analogy. The only problem is you said Five Guys and not J.G. Mellons.
That's true. Well, that's too niche for Dallas. I gotta go.
You should have said Whataburger.
Gotta go more
mainstream.
Mainstream.
That's true. So, I mean, I will say, I took Melo's comments as he's friends with Nico Harrison, and he's supporting his friend. Now, that's not the job of somebody in the media to do. It's also just kind of a reality. No, I mean, I have brutally insulted Jonah this entire time. It's also just kind of the reality for a lot of former players who end up on TV or radio or wherever they are. So it really doesn't bother me. I also think the people who make those kinds of comments about Nico Harrison, they might be louder they're not the majority. I mean, I
Yeah.
think everybody realistically knows what happened here. It's been reported in a million different ways. I mean, my favorite part of the Doncic trade, which I'm sure is going to infuriate every single person listening to this or watching this, but my favorite part is that the Lakers received a second-round pick, which means that at some point Rob Pelinka was like, this isn't going to cut it.
We need more.
Going to need that second rounder to close this thing out.
So between
between
voting for Kon
that's the
and
issue.
bringing up the other aspects of this trade, he's really batting a
Fred's
thousand.
going to be a regular on the show here. Actually, Fred, we can't let
I'll tell you
go.
what. If I make one more comment, Melo is really going to be speaking at my funeral.
Fred, it's been almost 10 years since you became a household name in Oklahoma City. Fred worked at, what is the Norman Transcript? Is that right? One of your early jobs in your career? So we're going to run a clip. This is from almost 10 years ago of you busting on me asking questions in a hilarious manner. This was you asking a question to Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook after an NBA playoff game nearly 10 years ago.
Fred Katz, Norman Transcript. Kevin. I don't know why I'm talking to myself.
Good job, Fred.
Russ was way more impressive in the second half than I was asking that question. What's going through your mind when you're just kind of seeing him go off like that?
Wait, I got to admit, you really saved it on the back end there, Fred. But what was the level of embarrassment when you asked yourself a question there?
Not that bad. I think in order to be embarrassed, you need to have shame. And that is not something I possess. I will say that photo that you just put up, because that was 2016, that photo that you just put up of Durant and Russ right there, that is the last like viral Durant and Russ meme from when they were teammates. And so I will say that, like, you know, whatever embarrassment that came is worth it, because I got to help the world see and create the final Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook meme with the two of them as teammates.
So
And
not welcome in Dallas and not welcome
they
in
both
Oklahoma
enjoyed
City.
it.
That's why he's in the closet
look.
in New York.
They both enjoyed it. Kevin Durant was very excited about it the next day at practice.
Yeah.
He saw how viral I went and how it was all over social media. And he clearly very much enjoyed it and was making jokes about it the whole time at practice the next day. So it was fine. You know,
It was great.
I've been embarrassed way worse in this job.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just remember our text thread was blowing up that day. Hey, Fred, thanks for hopping on and sharing your horrendous takes with us on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. I'm kidding. Love you, buddy. Appreciate your time.